It's just the stats. Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morton coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia, and also on a nice new year. First episode of the new year. I see that Mr. Morton there is in his mood lighting. Is that
I
your
am.
2024 lighting right there? Man, you should just use
I
that
am.
all year, man.
I just
Set the
use
standard,
this,
man.
get a little Lionel Richie playing, little
Yeah,
smooth
man. Talk
music,
with a
a
little
little
bit
old
lower of a
R&B.
voice. Get your
Bring
little
it
Barry
back.
White on. You know what
Little
I
Barry
mean?
White.
It'll be.
There we go.
We're doing tier two of our Mount Rushmore episode here, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited. Let's pop it up here. All right. Now for this episode, let's go ahead and go full screen for this for the people.
Yep.
Must have at least one NBA title. Discovered them by researching YouTube, Google, or documentary. You don't have to discover them by there, but you could have.
Yep.
Can include a fifth off to the side of the mountain player. Is that something that we're doing on all these tiers? The
Yes.
fifth off to the side mountain player?
Yeah.
Is that just because 4 is just not enough?
It's just I didn't feel like it was enough. I just had to get somebody else in there and just yeah. Especially when we get to who, the NBA, who we would want to win an NBA championship. There's so many people on the fifth side of the mountain I would have loved to add to that list.
Well, what's interesting about this list, I would say, versus the others is the fact that you don't necessarily have to watch them. Because a lot of these people, I will admit, I did not watch actually growing up because that's before I was born. But at the same time, I do like the fact that they can be recognized here in some fashion. So let's look. We got our boy Larry Legend over here, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and then Eugene. This is your list right here. This is your Mount Rushmore tier 2 list. Magic Johnson, you got Kareem there, Bill Russell, and Julius Erving, man. Did I tell you my Julius Erving story, man? I met Julius Erving at let's come back on screen for this, at an event for it was, I think it was for the mayor. He was there. And a lot of times, this was like 10 years ago, about 10, 15 years ago. No, probably about 10 years ago now, roughly. And I had to step to him, man. It's like there's Julius Erving standing right there in all his glory. And I had to go up there and talk to the man, and very gracious guy. Still looks like he could dunk on you. At least he did then. You know what I mean? He still looked like he could still dunk on you. But excellent player. And for the teaser for the rest of this episode, that's the only player I think that is different on my list than your list, because this list is just looking at it is pretty solid. Let's go back to full screen for the people here.
Right.
This is pretty solid here. So I'm not going to get into the general list of why you selected all these guys. I guess maybe you can go like one by one when the stats come up, and we can kind of like break down per stat why you chose them. So let's get into Larry Legend here real quick, and let's go over those stats for Larry Legend. 897 on the games played, 24.3 on the points average, 10 on the rebounds, average a double-double. Isn't that incredible, right? 24 and 10. Assist, 6.3, 49.6, almost 50% on the field goal percentage. Pretty nice. 37.6 on the field three percentage. Free throw percentage, 88.6. Efficiency rating 23.5, and win shares 145.8. Let's go down those awards real quick. Hall of Fame, of course. I think all these players are. 12-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA, 79-80 Rookie of the Year, 81-82 All-Star MVP, 3-time MVP, 3-time NBA champ, 79-80 All-Rookie, 3-time All-Defensive, 2-time Finals MVP, NBA 75th anniversary team. What are your thoughts here on Larry Legend?
I mean, it's an easy pick. It was one of those ones like when I started getting into basketball, and it's like you start researching guys, like you said, we were going to talk about documentaries and just YouTube and everything. It's like, and then you start looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, like him and Magic Johnson. Like if you get a chance to watch the ESPN documentary that that pretty much highlights.
Is that the Courtship of Rivals?
Yes, like that I think it's a 2 or 3 parts,
something like that,
mini documentary. But I mean, just right there, just seeing those two guys together and just how different they played and just how they just impacted the game. And it's like you don't get how those guys impact the game, how you watched it. In like, okay, you think like, because like my thought is like Jordan's the first guy, right? Jordan's the only guy because I watched Jordan. But then you start going backwards. You're like, oh my gosh, like yes. There was Bird. There was Magic. And oh my gosh, you gotta go backwards. There's Kareem, and then then you go Bill Russell, and it's like when you start going backwards and seeing what the foundation these guys just laid, and it's like it'd be fun to like plop those guys like these would like Bird and Magic would be so much fun to plop them into this era to see what they could do.
I think they'd be dominant, man. Like, how
Right.
can they not with just the height alone, right? 6'9" for both those guys, I want to say.
Right.
And then 6'9" that could shoot. This is before the KDs of the world, right? This is before you had those 7-foot players and before the Nowitzkis of the world. Before you had these 7-foot giants that actually could shoot the ball as well.
Right.
And not just playing on the inside, not just playing the post.
Playing the post, right.
How would you stop 6'9" with a jump shot now? Like, you could argue that with a lot of these players, especially these type players, especially the players that we're going to have on a lot of these lists, you could argue that a lot of these players, they would score more points with how soft the rules are in today's NBA. You can basically clothesline a guy back then, and it might be a normal foul, maybe it'll be a normal foul, but you could kill guys going to the rim back then, and
right.
they didn't care if you got punished. And these days, it's not like that, man. It's gonna be, you get a foul, you breathe too hard on the player, it's gonna be a foul. So imagine these guys going to the line. I mean, they shot pretty good at the free throw percentage, right? So these guys at least can get to the line if nothing else. So I think that they would have been great players, especially a player like Larry Bird. There's not really much that I can add. I don't really know if there'll be much I can add to any of these. This can be pretty much just the Eugene Morton show at this point. There's not gonna be much I can add to any of these players because it's, for one, I feel like their resumes, a lot of these guys speak for themselves.
Right.
So it's not a situation where you have to try to convince somebody how good these players actually were when they were playing. Now, did you have a Larry Bird jersey back in the day, or what's?
No, I never had one. Like I said, it's like Boston.
I didn't know if all the white guys just had Larry Bird jerseys. Like, you get
it was
that you can get.
It was, it's I tried not to do that. I try not to go the norm, right? I try not to get like the Jordan one. I had a Doc Rivers one because I just wanted something different.
Atlanta.
Yeah, because I wanted something different, and it's funny. Like I still try to do that today. Like I'll try to get like the non, famous guy. Like but I don't, and I lie about that because I do have a Trae Young shirt. But
sometimes the Atlanta guys are famous guys, man. We have a couple of Dominique. We'll have Dominique on one of these tier lists here. At some point, right? So I think if you get an Atlanta guy, which you can remotely, unfortunately, it's not a treasure trove of Atlanta players
correct,
to choose from a Hall of Fame perspective.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be like, oh, like that typical guy has the Larry Bird jersey. Like, oh yeah, the white guy has. I just don't want to be that typical guy, so I never got one.
We are on to Magic Johnson here now. Magic. We'll talk about a little bit about his on and off the court, but let's talk about these stats here for the people. 906 games played there, 19.5 points, 7.2 on the rebound, 11 on the average. So him and Larry are kind of switching there in the sense of like 10 rebounds average for Larry and 11 assist average for Magic, but still both averaging a double-double. A 52 on the field goal percentage, a little bit higher than Larry. Field goal definitely lower on the 30. He didn't shoot a ton of or field goal from a 3, I should say. His 3-point percentage is a little bit lower there.
That wasn't his game, though.
30%, not his game. Agree. 84.8 on the free throw. Player efficiency 24.1, 155.8 on the win shares. And we have Hall of Fame, of course, 12-time All-Star, 2-time Steel Champ, 10-time All-NBA, 3 times Finals MVP, 2 times All-Star MVP, 4-time assist champ, 5-time NBA champ. We'll repeat that one more time. 5-time NBA champ, 79-80 All-Rookie, 3-time MVP, NBA 75th anniversary team. What are your thoughts here on Mr. Earvin Magic Johnson?
Just a guy that you can just remember had fun, right? It just looked like he had joy with the game. I mean, I love Larry, but Larry just looked like he's going to work every day. Magic looked like he, and I'm not trying to be mean, but that, versus, looked like he's going to work. Didn't look like he enjoyed it, but he enjoyed beating people, right? He enjoyed that piece of it. Like Magic, like just to enjoy being out there, and like I couldn't imagine him not being a part of the Showtime Lakers because that was his
Correct. I was just about to say that. Could you
right.
imagine the guys switching and Magic being in Boston and Larry Bird being with the Lakers? It just does not seem like it fits.
Yeah, yeah. I just think there's the because there's because you and I know you're a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Like there's
Yes.
guys that fit that team. Like
Yeah,
there's like
absolutely.
Roethlisberger, the Bus, like
Mhm.
Heinz Ward. Like there's
Steeler
guys that
guys.
Steeler guys, right? Like
Yes,
when you think of Larry Legend, you think okay, Boston. He fits Boston.
he does.
Magic Johnson fits the Lakers. Like he fit
Absolutely.
that
Seems like he
mystique.
epitomizes it, right? To a
Right.
certain degree.
Right. So yeah, it's just like you forget about all those accolades and like he fits what the Magic are in, and that's what he's done off the court. It's just it even like just heightens that that mystique of him.
Well, it's interesting because let's talk about that a little bit. I definitely in the Black community, we had the Magic Johnson theaters and stuff down here in Atlanta. That was a thing to do. I'm not really sure if it's still here or not, but I know that was one thing he did.
Yeah.
And I think he owned a lot of businesses like Starbucks. I think he owned some Starbucks. He, of course, was a part of the Dodgers from an ownership perspective. I think he left that to when he went with that stint with the Lakers. When he went back with the Lakers, I don't know if there was a conflict of interest there or so. I'm not sure if he sold his interest in the Dodgers when he went to work with the Lakers for a while there. But now an owner, Washington Commanders. It's pretty impeccable list, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's you keep and that's the cool thing is like look where he started. Like you said, was i- movie theaters and not like the best communities ever to buy a movie theater in, but he did it right. He
Correct.
invested in this,
And people
and now
love
he's
going
got
to them. I'm gonna tell you that.
what's that?
People loved going to them. They used to be a
Right,
thing back in the day.
right. It was, and then he brought that. He brought that there. He brought that thing, and then it's like you said with the Lakers. He went. He's ownership. It was influenced there. The Dodgers, and now he's part of the ownership group with the Commanders, which they need a new identity. And I kind of think,
Yes. The
what's not
best
a
way to
better
pivot from Dan Snyder, man.
Dan
Goodness
Snyder
gracious.
to Magic Johnson? Um,
Excellent.
yeah, I just you can't talk about what he. I mean, that's why I recognize him more on the court. Obviously, I remember him from the '91 finals, but I just remember more him off the court. And then then he was part of the documentary we spoke of with Bird. But yeah, it's just he's phenomenal. It's just nothing you can really say about that.
True. And broadcasting too. That I don't know if there's anything that he's really like failed at. That even at that stint with the Lakers with some of those trades he made, he did end up getting LeBron there, and that ended up panning out for a championship for them down the line.
Right.
Um, my next guy here, I love. I love me some Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man. For anybody that can't see here, we've got the captain on the screen, and I wish I had my autograph picture down here. I should just show it, man. Show it to the people here. Show them how much I love the guy. Now, Kareem, ton of games played in comparison to the other two guys, almost combined. If you combine the other two guys in games played, you might get to roughly about 200 more than he played by himself. That's 1560 on the games played. Incredible, because you see now these days, these guys can't even get through half a season these days. 1560 on the games played, 24.6 on the points average, 11 on the total rebounds, assist 3.6, field goal percentage 55.9, three percentage 5.6. He does not shoot threes. 72% on the free throw, 24.6 on the player efficiency rating, and 273.4 on the win shares. Hall of Fame status, of course, 19-time All-Star, 75-76 total rebound champ, 6-time NBA champ, 11-time All-Defensive. I'm going to say that one more time. 11-time All-Defensive. 1969-70 Rookie of the Year, 6-time MVP. If you get three these days, you're pretty much guaranteed Hall of Fame status. If you got three, he's got 6 MVPs. 2-time scoring champ, 4-time block champ, 15-time All-NBA. Also bears re-mentioning. 15-time All-NBA. 1969 to 70 All-Rookie. 2-time Finals MVP. And NBA 75th anniversary team. Another thing I should have said twice was a 6-time NBA champ. The 6-time NBA champ, 11-time All Defensive, and 15-time All NBA is phenomenal. And 6-time MVP. Those stats right there are phenomenal. What are your thoughts here on Mr. Abdul-Jabbar?
I mean, I would highly recommend anybody going to our archives and listening to our Kareem show we did, and just listening to his college stats. Yes, don't get me wrong; these are amazing stats, but his college stats were just phenomenal.
Incredible.
Those are never going to be those stats.
I don't know if he lost a game in college.
He never did. And that's the thing. You're not going to see it touched again because no one plays because we understand
nobody plays that long.
No one plays that long. It's one and done, and that's fine. I'm not complaining about that, but I mean, he had that, and then I just can't remember. Also, and I think the power and empower movement. We're talking about it now. I mean, he's kind of the first one I can remember that said, "Hey, Milwaukee, either trade me or I'm leaving next year. I'm going somewhere else." So he pretty much said, "Hey, trade me or I'm going somewhere else." So, and let's not forget, the fantastic cameo. It's not going to be on your NBA reference, but the cameo he made in Airplane, which is phenomenal.
Man, I tried to get that picture for his Mount Rushmore, but the headphone, I had trouble cropping out the headphones. I'm no Photoshop master. For sure, somebody at Photoshop who has mastered the program could come in and crop out all that stuff. But I had trouble cropping out the headphones. But you best believe I was aiming for that airplane photo there.
But yeah, I mean, he has the most unblockable shot. It took a player almost 20 years to finally break his scoring record. To get to 20,
which was broken like last year, by the way. It wasn't like it was broken 10 years ago.
Right.
I think it was broken 2023, 2022, somewhere in there.
Right. So I mean, just you can't say enough about the guy. It's just phenomenal. And just like I said, go ahead. Anybody, go in your backyard and just attempt the skyhook. Just try it out. See if you can do it. It's just it's the hardest shot to replicate. And if you can replicate it, you'll never get blocked in your life, but you'll never be able to replicate it.
You know what's interesting is there are when you're looking here at his stats, it just seems like it's so hard to put in. I have trouble putting him not in my top 2 or 3. Even having him, like, I think LeBron is a better player all the way around for sure because the assist and being competent in the rebound. Kareem is so lacking in the assist category that I think LeBron kind of edges in right there. But at the same time, when you look at the awards, when you look at how decorated of a career he had, he's killing guys out here. He's killing guys. Like he's not even coming close. And another fun note, they did take out the dunks for a while because he was dunking on folks.
Right.
So they took it out the game. They took it out the game, man. Because he's dunking on folks so bad that they took it out the game and then of course had to bring it back. Could you imagine the most popular play not being in the game? And that would be horrible. Now
it's a quick side note. If you get a chance, watch the YouTube videos after they brought the dunk back in, and he was just terrorizing it. So
he's probably angry, man. He's got to get off those dunks now for all the times that they wouldn't let him dunk. So I feel like that's what he just had to do at that point.
Right.
This guy I love, Bill Russell, for a variety of reasons. Elder statesman, legendary player for the game, represented the game for so long, and kind of epitomized the game for so long. Bill Russell is a player we're looking at here. 963 on the games played, 15 points average, 22 and a half total rebounds. Let's average that. Let's put that out there again, guys. Over almost 1,000 games, this man averaged 22 and a half rebounds. Could you imagine the good games he had? How many did he have in his great games? Like, he had to have way more than this average. He probably gets 10, 15 rebounds in a game and he's a bum, man. Like, it's an off game for him,
Right.
15 points, 22 and a half total rebounds on average, 4.3 on the assist, 44% on the field goal, 56% on the free throw. They didn't have 3 points at the time that he played. 18.9 on a player efficiency rating, 163.5 on the win shares. Let's go to the awards here. Hall of Fame, of course, 12-time All-Star, 11-time NBA champ, 11-time NBA champ. Let that sink in. There's only 10 fingers, ladies and gentlemen. 5 MVPs, 68 to 69 all defensive, 4-time total rebound champ. Of course. I'm surprised it's not more than that. 11-time All NBA, 62 to 63 All Star MVP, NBA 75th anniversary team. What are your thoughts on Mr. Russell?
I mean, what's there to say? It's just his story is just phenomenal, right? Just from playing in Boston, having there's no way, and he's already talked about too, not having to deal with the racial tensions of that city, and just to stay there that long, and to prosper there, and just to be, and let's not forget the player coach side of it, winning an NBA
Yes,
champion,
he won a championship, man.
and just always seemed, even after everything, just so I don't know what the right word is, just appreciate it. It's crazy when you still went to interviews, and just never he never had negative things to say about the time, and just crazy. He could have done it, right? He could have just
Yeah,
blasted.
absolutely. Because of the time that he grew up in,
Right.
he could have raged
Blasted.
out here, man. He could have
Rage,
went in there and just raged on the entire
rage
state
on
of
the
things at that
and we
time, especially in Boston. Could have
right,
raged, but he did not.
right. And would not have been like mad at him for it, right? We would definitely, yes, don't we understand why. But you just never heard that from him. It just blows my mind, and just his character. I mean, that's the one thing, is that his character was just phenomenal, and that's why he has so many awards. That's why he was respected, not only by career players, but even players of our generation, and even generations when he's playing.
Do you feel like the civil rights situation, when you look at Bill Russell, players like Bill Russell, and as we've talked about the picture behind me, the Cleveland Summit picture that has Bill Russell and Kareem are both in that picture.
Yeah,
Speaking up on behalf of Muhammad Ali, I think at the time. Do you feel like that puts him in an unreachable level, so to speak? Because that's something that's off the court, right? It's kind of like Michael Jordan and his impact off the court that's so untouchable, and it makes kind of LeBron has to chase a ghost, because not only are you chasing Jordan on the court, you're chasing the specter of Jordan off the court and everything that he meant to the game, right? And do you feel like players like Bill Russell and Kareem have that same type of untouchable aspect to their careers?
absolutely. Yeah, there's no way. I mean, you can't look at them and go what they went through and go, oh yeah, there's just no. Now, granted, Jordan had obviously, I'm not saying racial tensions are the best now, and
Yeah,
I'm
for
not saying
sure. I
they were
mean,
the best
and that always
always.
omnipresent, so to speak, right?
But what those guys were going through, especially what Russell was going through, I mean, just listen, and it's saying we can listen to it and we can read about it, but man, we will never understand it. And I mean, I will personally never understand it, because even after reading it, because it's nothing I've ever had to endure. It's nothing I never will have to going in the future. But I guess I guess having an understanding of it, and but like what you're saying, yeah, you'll never, I will never understand it, and I will always respect them and revere them for it.
Let's move on to Julius Irving, one of my favorite guys here. This is
Julius,
your off to the sign, Dr. J. 1243 on the games played. That's significant, right? It's a lot of games. 1243 on the games played, 24.2, 8.5 on the total rebounds, 4.2 on the assists, 50.6% on the field goal percentage is pretty nice. Three percentage, 29.8. Didn't really shoot the three like that. 77.7 on the free throw percentage. Efficiency rating 23.6 and 181 on the win shares. Let's go to the accolades here. Hall of Fame, of course. 16-time All-Star. Man, goodness gracious. What a run. 16 times. Two-time ABA champ. Five-time All-ABA. The league that kind of was out there pre the NBA, what we know today to be.
right?
Five-time All-ABA. Four-time MVP. Two-time All-Star MVP. 1983 NBA champ. I'm so glad he got across the line right there. Seven-time All-NBA. 71 to 72 All Rookie. 75 to 76 All Defensive. And ABA all-time team. What are your thoughts here on Dr. J?
Well, there's a wonderful video on YouTube that it mirrors between Kobe and Michael Jordan, and it's like it's really cool. Like it matches, Kobe and Michael when they're doing shots and they're doing. It's a great video. If Julius wasn't around, we wouldn't have had Jordan. Jordan if you watch some of the moves what Julius was doing, it's just you could see who Jordan was watching when he was growing up, and thank God you're right. I did not want. That's why I included him in this list. It's like okay, thank God he got the one NBA championship.
Yeah, man, because the ABA championships are nice, right? And they do count because when you look at a lot of guys, the reason I would have to put this out there about the ABA situation is if when you look at a lot of those guys, a lot of those guys have made it into the Hall of Fame themselves. So it ain't like you look at the ABA and it's only Julius Erving from a Hall of Fame standpoint.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of players who played the ABA. So it's kind of like the AFL for the NFL, right? Like you had these leagues that were before our current day iteration of them, and the ABA would happen to be one of those leagues. So I'm kind of glad he got across the list there. Now, when you were, what players did you kind of? Well, I guess we'll talk about that towards the end. But what else made you put him on your list? Because I feel like there's a lot of players you could have chose here. What made him put him? What else kind of made him the fifth player for you?
Just like Jordan comp. I mean, just when I was going, like I said, when I was
There's a
going
through
back,
line there, right? Man, you can draw a through line from Julius to Jordan to Kobe for sure.
Right. It's just like one of those things when I was like listening to music. When I first got into like hip hop, it's like, when someone's like, "Oh, you like hip hop music?" Yes. They're like, "Well, you really need to listen to jazz music." Like, why? I like hip hop. Why don't you go back and listen to jazz? Because hip hop sold from jazz. I'm like, really?
Yeah, man. It's
right.
kind of jazz,
so,
like the pre hip hop.
Right. So I was like, okay. So I started listening to more jazz. Same thing with Jordan. It's like, oh, you like Jordan? Well, you better go check out Julius. You better go check out Dr. J. And you better watch some clips and you better watch his moves and you better watch. Now, he may not have the same jumper as Jordan because Jordan got that obviously later in his life, but my gosh, there's that smoothness, that just be able to glide, just be able to hang in the air, just
play above the rim.
Right. The whole taking the ball from one side of the backboard to the other. I mean, how many times have we watched Jordan do that move?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
It just like you just can't. You couldn't. Like I said, I could not listen to hip hop and not appreciate jazz. I could not watch Jordan and appreciate Jordan and not appreciate Dr. J.
That's interesting because I feel like that's the only exception. It's the only difference on our list. I think our list for the most part, and my Mount Rushmore here should be popping up here soon. Our list, I feel like that's the only difference is Julius Erving. And I wanted to put him on so bad, man, because I'm a big fan, especially after having that brief meet and seeing how humble some of these players are. The only reason I could not put him on was because of my guy, Wilt Chamberlain. I felt like I could not leave Wilt Chamberlain off my list. When you're talking about, it's kind of like if you bring up Bill Russell and his time, you got to bring up Wilt Chamberlain because they played around. They had a lot of the greatest matchups against each other, even though I do feel like Russell got the better of a lot of those matchups. Let's go into the stats and then we'll kind of talk about some of the other things. 1045 on the games played. 30 points average. This guy averaged 30 and 23. I'm going to give him a round up on the 22.9 on the rebounds. When are you going to see another guy average 30 and 23 over 1,000 game period? Absolutely incredible. 4.4 on the assist, 54 on the field goal percentage, 51% on the free throw percentage. Not a great free throw shooter. Imagine what his points would have been if he was a good free throw shooter. Those points might have averaged 40 for his entire career. 26.2 on the player efficiency rating and 247.3 on the win shares. Let's talk the accolades here. 13-time All-Star, 11-time total rebound champ, 2-time NBA champ, 59-60 All-Star MVP, 59-60 Rookie of the Year. So Rookie of the Year and All-Star MVP same year. Isn't that incredible, right?
That's incredible.
71-72 Finals MVP. That 72 team, I think, was that one with they went on They had the record for wins. I don't know if it was like 33 wins in a row or something like that. And they went on a run there. I think that team had Elgin Baylor and Jerry West on it. I look back and see. I don't know if Elgin made it that whole season though. 7-time scoring champ, 67, 68 All-Star champ, 10-time All-NBA, 4-time MVP, 2-time All-Defensive, NBA 75th anniversary team. Now, this is a player that I feel like when I think about basketball, there's certain players from the past that epitomize the game for me, and those are players like your Kareems of the world. We could have easily I talked about this guy Jerry West. Jerry West is not the logo for a reason. He was a good, damn good player. So maybe we'll get a chance to talk a little Jerry West here at some point. But these are all the players that I kind of think about when I think about the game of basketball from a back in the day type of standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And your players like Will, Kareem, and Bill Russell are the players. They're the guys I think about the most here. What are your thoughts here on Mr. Chamberlain? And I'm not going to talk about his off because it's a family show. I'm not going to talk about his off the court accolades, which I feel like go into another type of Hall of Fame that he goes into off the court there. But
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you can Google that yourselves. But there's lots.
We'll let you look that up. But yeah, man.
But
Wilt was out here.
Yeah, the cool thing is it's like, yes, the 2-time NBA champions. But the great thing is like if you ever get the two when they were talking about each other, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, it's just how I think the great thing about them is how much they push each other. And that's the thing.
Respect. There's a lot of respect there.
There's a lot of respect between those two guys. And it's crazy because you think of Bill Russell, I have 11 NBA champions chips. I don't need anyone to push me. But he said Wilt was the guy when he woke up in the morning while he was training hard. You know, Wilt says the same thing about Bill. It's like, that's the reason why I trained hard. I find those things very fascinating. You think those two guys to be on the opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're literally waking up every morning thinking about each other because they're scared of each other and they want to train to get better than each other.
It's the guy you got to stop, right? Look, think about those back in the day, especially back in the day. These were the guys that you got to stop. You know, if Wilt woke up, he knew he had to stop a Russell. If Russell woke up that day, he knew he was gonna have to stop a Wilt because those were the two kind of stars at the time. There weren't a lot of black stars, especially. But you know what's funny about this time period is that let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of guys, when you're speaking on this time period, they're saying stuff like, oh, well, they only played plumbers and lawyers. They didn't play anybody. And, you know, I don't really count that they dismissed the whole period. Well, Wilt's a damn good basketball player for a plumber or a lawyer, you know, and same thing with Bill Russell. These are pretty good players for guys who people just readily dismiss as just a guy, or just a guy, period, I should say. I don't think people dismiss these two, but they dismiss the time period as just a guy, period. And there's a lot of Hall of Famers in those periods, you know?
Yeah. And you know what? People do it. Look at the Jordan era. When people want to make their LeBron arguments, they will find the worst Jordan picture where he's dunking on a plumber-looking guy. Same thing with LeBron. They will find
LeBron's not 6'9" dunking on folks, looking like a tight end dunking on folks out here.
Right. So yes, there's but here's the thing. There's always going to be fill-in players no matter what area you're in.
Correct. More of them than superstars, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah. Even nowadays, like, yes, there's a lot of stars, but there's very few superstars in any league. And they just happen to be the best two superstars in the league at that time. So what are they supposed to do?
And you know what's incredible about that is what these guys both meant to their teams, and just how great of a player. Like, you know, I was watching a Bill Russell interview a while back, and he would say stuff like, just as humble a guy as he was like, they would say, I stop him, and the guy would still have almost 30 on me. Like, and they would be like, hey, you slowed him down tonight.
Right. Right.
You know, and I think that it was the championships. If you were to have the separator between the two, so let's say that Wilt had those championships. Maybe I have the switch, right? Maybe I have Bill Russell off to the side of the mountain, and then I have Wilt on the mountain if those championships are switched. But it does say something about when you're looking. One of the things I think that can definitely be said about the time period was there was no free agency during that time. And Boston had like 7-8 Hall of Famers on it. So it's hard to beat that team. Kind of like the Showtime Lakers, right? Imagine the Showtime Lakers with no free agency really prevalent and guys just aren't leaving. Now, once you lock in a winning team, no, there's nothing another team can do to combat that. So you're just going to keep winning. You're just going to keep
Right.
winning. You're just going to keep winning. So I do feel like that's something that needs to be said, but these are all great players. This is Just a Stats. Thank you for tuning into our Mount Rushmore Tier 2 episode. We will have the Tier 3 episode out here for you at some point. Please check us out. Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And TikTok, of course, as well, which has been doing the best for us, man, to be honest with you, man. I need to post these. You know what? I will. 2024, I'm going to put this back on YouTube. You know, when I'm looking at my TikTok, it's like YouTube has become the redheaded stepchild for me, man. Like, TikTok's my favorite kid now. That's where I want to put all. I want to put all our stuff on TikTok because it's my favorite child. I have another child called YouTube who just seems to hate me, so I don't really ever talk to that kid. But I'm going to start talking back to that kid this year. We will put some of these shows on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.